Hello, I'm Rangru,
And I'm Graham.
and we are here today with another 1v1 replay from the Wargame Bootcamp Discord monthly tournament. Of course, it's a South Africa tournament still. Who do we have playing, Graham?
Yeah, so Rang, on the left here we have Jaki playing South African Moto, as because like you said, you have to have a South African deck. And then on the right here we have Razzman himself playing Eastern Bloc General.
And to run with a more interesting 1v1 match, or technically a 2v2 map. Hi,
Right.
Rayty, sure, not as cool as the Oslo one, but we'll have to make do with what we got.
Yeah, we'll just have to accept it, for all of its flaws, right? Though, as like a Steel Division player, kind of getting back into Wargame, I think the map's like awesome. So it's
Yeah.
hard for me to like, oh, the old one used to be better. Well, no, this is better than anything else, so it's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately, Eugene's map design quality has definitely gone down over the years, I'd have to say. But
They left him to strike.
right off the bat, I mean, you got the classic so-called being brought out. It's going to be very good in trying to ward off at alpha. And Razzman opening up with two MI-17s to try and get at forward positions.
Yeah, I really like the move out there by Razzman. I mean, there are some like fast moving A vehicles for sure with South Africa, but getting your helos in position and getting some infantry, like you see him, he's getting
Like
I
a
think it's a
Pachota's.
check. Yep. Yeah, I really like that move out of him there because those buildings could be so crucial as the games go on this map.
Yep, and they have the recoilless rifles, so you're going to have that nice long-range anti-tank action. And heck, bad AT, doesn't matter. We're talking about South Africa here. They don't have much T to A.
No, completely agree that 1400 meters, 12 AP is more than enough in kind of dealing with the South Africans if you can get shots on the
Yeah.
vehicles. So I really like that move.
Yeah, I mean, just show up north one of those managed to knock out a Roycat 105 era. Yeah, this is actually working out really well for him. The MI-17 is some great fire support because it's run with the 122mm rockets. It's definitely
Yep.
slowing down, a bit of an obstacle, a speed bump for the South African rush.
Yeah, I like the MI-17 because like you said, it slows down, gives a little speed bump, so the slower Eastern Bloc troops can get in position. And then the SASF 90 from Jaki were actually unable to shoot the MI-17, allowing it to get some good damage in there before it eventually goes down there.
Indeed, I'm wondering if this is going to be like the last replay recasted, where, like, as we saw last time, like those Emron Rokes were super powerful. We have
Right.
two Emron Rokes right in Delta.
Yeah.
Will Jaki be able to actually blow up stuff with anti-tank? Because that's the one problem we see in South Africa. Their anti-tank is not very anti.
No, I completely agree with you, and it's very hard, I think, for South African players, especially motorized, to deal with heavy frontal armor assaults. So I think the option, if you're Jackie, is to just avoid the Wilks, right? Like try and contain the push, keep it in where you want it, and then let your Roycats and your faster moving vehicles do damage on the flanks.
Yep. Oh, we are seeing a Roycat 76 all the way up north, making
Yeah.
the long walkabout. I wonder if he's going to be able to do anything too silly. Well, Rossman does have an APC just as a beacon, but not much else for base defense.
Yeah, no recon out there for him to spot it. Maybe the bigger question now is, does it have enough gas?
Probably it's South
Probably, right.
African. Those things were
It'd be
designed to run across the border back and forth.
right. They gotta go long distances, but it would be if it was a British vehicle, Rang. I don't know if it would make it.
It would be out of fuel by now. Or World War
Right.
II vehicle.
For
Yeah.
sure.
But so far, in terms of map control, Razzman has done a very good job securing Delta, which is a very vital point on this map. It really allows you to, string your power around up north and also down south. And same thing down south, too. I mean, Echo's pretty much in Razzman's control, even though he's barely in it.
Yeah, and it's also interesting that the game has now really settled down in these next couple of minutes, right? We saw those opening engagements, and now both players seem like they're kind of building up. Probably a little bit of probing action going on, but it seems like both are kind of content to stabilize their positions and get ready for probably a bigger style engagement.
Yeah, that's probably not in Jackie's favour because, South Africa, you need to keep the motorised momentum. But up north, we are seeing not one, not two, but three Roycat 105s and two Ratal 20 infantry transports. So, seems like Jackie's going to be trying to play up in Gulf.
Yeah, it looks like it wants to make some type of move into golf there, which is kind of interesting. I like it actually, especially if you know that the Eastern Bloc player is in position like where Razzman is. It's going to be really hard to frontally assault there. Whereas there's some kind of room to maneuver in golf that you don't quite have in Delta because of the buildings.
Yeah, yeah, you do kind of have like the slope of the hill where you can maneuver around, and as we're seeing here, Razzman doesn't have a whole lot of AT. Really, just the BMP recon, which isn't a lot of AT, but frankly, still enough to kill a Roycat if you get lucky.
Yeah, and I like the idea here. If Jaki does commit to it of swinging around that upper side of golf, there's nothing that can really, like you said, that can truly deal with it that effectively. Because in Delta, there's a ton of Eastern Bloc firepower.
Yeah. Yep. I'm also
And
finding it quite interesting how Razzman's actually using Czech reserve infantry. You just never see these
ooh,
guys being used.
big pick there, Rang. In
Oh,
Delta, the M2 Wilt going down there, side shot from the Buffalo, then a shot from the Roycat 105, showing that hey, it may be weak, but it does pack a pretty big punch, getting rid of the M2 Wilt right there. Or is that an
damn.
M1 Wilt?
I think it was an M1.
M1 Wilt, excuse
Yeah,
me. The
he
other
still
two
has an
right.
M2, but still.
Yeah.
A
Yeah, still good pick.
T-72 is a T-72 against South Africa.
Yeah, I think even the 90-point Wilkes we saw, the M1 Wilkes is more than capable of this, and as you actually see it right there, dealing heavy damage.
Yeah, he's going to be a bit more careful of how he maneuvers those Roycats, because those rogues are in a lovely defensive position in that forest. Anytime they, up against too much heat, they can just bugger off back into the shade.
Yeah, and then he has a mortar already out. Razzman does for smoke, and we can see it there, using the smoke to kind of screen his tanks. And he let one go a little bit too far past, but he's not allowing that to happen a second time.
He's using like a... No, never mind. I thought he's using more Czech infantry, but no, he has Mochuchen, which is, mandatory for Eastern Bloc. If you're not taking Mochuchen as your main infantry choice, we're gonna have to ask some questions.
Yeah, it really is like the bread and butter. Did he lose another Wilt?
I think so.
Yeah, I think he did.
Yeah, he lost the M2.
Yeah, I don't see where it died at. But yeah, you're completely right, Rain. He lost the...
Maybe it was the Buffaloes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then up in the north, though, if you look, Orang, Jaki's making a really strong push there. He's wiped out, as we talked about, the Recon BMP-1, and he has now some really good momentum to kind of push in that flank there for Razzman.
Yeah, 3 stack of Roycat is a really scary force to deal with. And they're not just going to be sticking about, they're going to be moving around. And, in the enemy rear line here, you can get some pretty good shots on like the actual supply line, so to speak.
Yeah, I think that's the best thing I like about the Roycat is that if you can break into kind of like that rear area of your opponent, it can just wreak havoc on your opponent's back line.
Oh, yeah.
And then you're trying to just put it out with either a chopper, a tank, whatever you can to stop it. And then it's so fast, it kind of like moves around. And so it's in one area, now it's in the next. And I really like the play here by Jaki.
Yeah, it's like the perfect encapsulation of like a cavalry tank.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
It's funny. And then you see, actually, as you talk about the other Roycat 76 has now gotten actually pretty close to Hotel.
Yeah.
Looks like it stopped for a second. But
he's going to need to book a room soon.
Yes, he needs to book his stay there. Maybe a little weekend stay, hit the spa. I like it.
He could really kill the CV. I mean, there's the Snechka, yeah. But, probably what's going to happen, he'll get spotted and then some plane or helicopter will come in half-heartedly.
And he has the T-72 next to it as well, which is really funny because he has the Recon BMP-1 to kind of screen. And you don't notice right away. It took me a second glance. I was like, is that a T-72? And so in case the BMP-1 goes down, he has a little hard-hitting T-72 there to maybe save the day.
Hi, that's actually quite smart. You never even really see just the baseline T-72s ever being used, but against South Africa, T-72 is the T-72. But look, the Roycat's getting shot off, and I don't think he can see. Trying to move up, something's happening. There we go.
See right there, and then there's a stereo.
Overkill a bit.
Yeah, talk about overkill, but the Sari comes in, says, not in my house, or actually not in my hotel, rejected. You can see at the Econo Lodge.
Yeah. That's really impressive. The plane immediately comes in, gets a lock, and shoots the missiles. That pilot must have some great APM.
I wish my Sarius performed that way every time.
Same. Looking at Echo, Jaki's making really good progress in here. He's managed to flip this. He's doing really good. He's flipping the north, he's flipping the south. He's getting like a good maneuver, good surrounding on Delta right now. And it's going to be a bit hard for Razzman trying to do anything out of Delta, considering he's surrounded.
Yeah, the echo push is really smart there by Jaki. There was only, as we know, Czech reserve infantry, so it was really light, allowed him to get in there without any real effort on his part. And then now, as the Delta position starts to collapse for Razzman, I think he's in a really dangerous spot, right?
Yeah, it's not looking all that great for him. It's really just that one rogue, which is going to have to hold the Delta Forest. Yeah. But we got the Roycatch coming in, infantry, the Buffaloes are still there, and we're seeing constant mortar fire. So that Rook is going to be under a bit of pressure.
Yeah, and then those Roycats up in the on Gulf there are also causing havoc. They killed the BMP-1s. They did some damage to the Mochutsen as well. Though one of the T-72s got a pick maybe, or the Mochutsen's did on one of them. It's only 2. But Razzman's obviously concerned about the threat, as he should be, and it's diverting his attention, I think, from more critical areas.
He used a Saria to kill a beta helicopter. That is...
desperate times call for desperate measures.
It does lose it here, unfortunately, to the Roycat anti-air thing, which has a bunch of letters in its name.
Yeah, I'm not sure what all the letters are meant to signify. Maybe someone in the comments could say it. All I know is that it has a bunch of some missiles on it that are really accurate, and it goes fast.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you can definitely chase down the airplane as it's running back to spawn.
Right, it's like that old film clip where the car beat the biplane.
Yes.
The Roycat might actually be able to beat some of the planes in the game.
Yeah. Oh, the Roycat 105's behind enemy lines. They have not in a good position. The Salamander is gonna finish them off there. So.
Yeah.
Oh, this isn't good for Jaki. He's pretty much lost all his momentum up north here in Gulf. Losing all his Roycats in that push was not ideal.
Yeah, I think that's the really hard part with South Africa Ring, is that success can feel like you're right there, you're on the verge of it, the breakthrough's coming, but your units are so flimsy, right, that the minute you encounter heavy resistance, they just kind of fall apart. And now what looked really promising on Gulf is almost completely in Razzman's favor.
Yeah, if you overextend, bite off more and you can chew, as you can see, you can get really buggered, because that's pretty much giving Gulf entirely back to Razzman, and he has... Yeah, he's going to be able to get a good foothold in there, the T-72s and a few Chuchin.
Yeah, and then from that point on, it's really hard, especially in these 1v1s, right, to regain that momentum, because now we can get back and set up a defense. You have to spend a lot of points to re-attack it, which a lot of players it may not be worth it, right? So I would probably see Jaki's going to continue to make his attention now into Delta as we see the Parabat 90s get ready to move into the forest here.
I like it a lot. Yeah, that FTS rocket launcher, they can do quite a bit of damage, but there's more Chuchin. And you know what the Mochuchin are good at? They're good at shooting.
I don't even have any words for that. That was good.
Thank you. I'll be here all night.
Oh, all night? Okay. Right on. Well, I can see, as you can see there, the Wilk actually makes an engagement, kills the recon vehicle. The Casper K-Car is moving to try and save the Parabats, because, jokes aside, the Mochuchin was doing really well against the Parabat right there.
Mm-hmm.
But Casper K-Cars with some 20 mils kind of changed the situation.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty decent push here, but I mean, Razzman is getting in the reinforcements. Just the helicopters alone is going to cause a bit of damage, but we're seeing a lovely bit of smoke just trying to cover that advance. I don't feel like Jaki's going to be making too much progress, but at least he's managed to clear out one forest, which gives him a good defensive springboard to eventually, try to put pressure on the rest of Delta.
Yeah, I think he's in a good position, but I also find it very interesting that as all this was going on, Razzman found the time to try and get a command infantry squad into Delta to start ticking down his opponent. And I think that's just a really interesting play, because a lot of these games rank kind of can come down to when do you put out your first commander or command vehicle. Mm-hmm. And I think the timing's really interesting by Razzman here.
Yeah, it's always like that fun meta game of the command vehicles and Wargame. Most of the time I'm screaming at the replay, get it sooner, god damn it, you need the points. It's 20 minutes in and no one has any command points, but at the same time, in 1v1s, that's 100 points. You could get 5 more Chuchin for that. And that's a lot of more Chuchin. And you probably want those more Chuchin,
It's a lot of more Chuchin, but no Chuchin necessarily don't win the game, Ring. So you got to cap those control points. Yeah. And that's where I say, 2 major generals, highest level of play here. Really interesting to see him say, hey, I'm kind of on my back foot here, especially when he bought that command vehicle out. But he knows that getting the tick now is really important.
Yeah, and same thing for Jaki. He's seeing that command vehicle being pushed. Okay, now's a good time to maybe try and push some rays. He's actually trying to get a bit of pressure back into Gulf, which is quite nice. Razzman hasn't really retaken it. He's got the T-72s more on the southern end to try and cover Delta here. And I think this is going to be Razzman's play to try to play a bit more heavy in the center and really secure Delta and maybe put pressure onto Bravo or a little bit up north from the Delta position.
Yeah, I think that's probably the right move too. If you're Razzman, try and keep it centralized, because the more focused the combat is, the more likely it is your heavier, hard-hitting units are going to win out. Whereas if it's loose, fast and loose, the South Africans are probably going to be able to kind of pick you apart there.
They need to keep them packed like sardines.
Sardines, it's pretty gross.
Yeah.
Not a fan.
What have you tried them on toast?
No. That is gross. Don't ever say that again.
Okay. I'm going to write that on the list.
Yeah, add it to the list there. We do see that, as we're joking about sardines, Razzman actually bought out the one of the East German artillery rocket pieces there. So it looks like he's trying to make a big push here from Delta, maybe against the Buffaloes. Rank, trying to get into that building complex.
Yeah. We're seeing also 2 Oliphants here from Jaki. Some actual heaviest armor from South Africa. This isn't right.
No, some South African motorized tanks, as you can see right there. They're actually, for 60 points though, they are pretty good.
Yeah.
They do have 11 frontal armor, and then they have 16 AP, but they have good accuracy too. I think 65%, I believe.
Yeah, they're like sharpshooters. That's one thing I find interesting about a lot of South African tanks, especially these ones, because they don't have a machine gun, which I guess isn't a big deal, really, but it's just nice to have the machine gun, It's like the cherry on top.
Yeah, it's something, and I do think it's interesting too that because it's the M1 Wilk, it's a lot more effective if you're using those Oliphants right there than if it had been the M2. And you get some really good damage in. Both are still alive, but I like the call out there from Jaki of getting some actual tanks on the field.
Yeah, he's definitely gonna need it if he's gonna be grinding a bit in Delta. Just the extra armor alone from the Oliphant is a huge deal.
Yeah, it's something I think we've noticed in a lot of these casts now, Reng, is that a lot of South African players don't even want to call out a regular tank. Like, you almost never see them, or if they do, it's like way too late in the game. So I really like the idea of let me call it out now to kind of buffer up my defense a little bit better and buy myself a little more time to organize. As we see up in the north there, Jackie's actually going to go ahead and cap Charlie to try and stop this tick here from Razzman before it gets get a little too big.
Oh, we're seeing like Razzman bring up a Salamandra and a Soak all the way up north. Maybe he's gonna try and do some sneaky backline play here. That'd be quite funny.
He tried to drive into my hotel without even booking a reservation, so he's gonna go ahead and go around. He's not happy.
He's not happy at all. No, he's gonna come back into go field, but it's a good attack angle. I mean, that Salamander is actually really scary. ATGM and recon optics. I mean, it's not Apache longbow, but against South Africa, anything's good.
For the Poles, it might as well be, right?
Yes.
Yes. The Roy Cat actually sees those helicopters there. He says, "I don't like it." One missile goes out, takes out the helicopter. The other one connects too. Yeah, and so he should have just kept going north.
Yeah, 2 for 2, right? Yeah, really good use of the anti-aircraft system.
That man's on top of his stuff.
Yeah.
And so we see some more mortar play, actually. The Rattel 81s putting out some I think they're trying to snipe the logistics vehicle. He stopped firing there. But I think that's what he was trying to do. And then we see the Wilk. Yeah, he's trying to get the Wilk repaired up there. So I'd imagine that Razzman's probably thinking of going back on the offensive here momentarily.
Yeah, this is quite interesting how this match has developed. It's definitely been quite back and forth. I mean, Razzman has a really nice defensive structure in Delta, but his flanks are still somewhat exposed up north and down south. So, I know up north he actually has a pretty decent defense. I mean, he doesn't have the entirety of Gulf, which is an issue, but I mean, the T-72M1 Rollcar up north is in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, and I like the idea of also Razzman realizing, hey, he's capped Charlie. Let me go ahead and cap Golf. And sometimes I think there's kind of these mind games, right? Like if you're Jaki and you see him quickly as he's about to hear, I think, a couple seconds, cap Golf. Have I really hurt my opponent that much, or does he really feel that confident that he can, cap the point right now?
Exactly, and that's I think we're just gonna be seeing that CV Wargame back and forth, but really has to be in Jackie's favor because he can contest Delta and Golf and completely capture Echo if it does come down to that.
Yeah, because I think that if he really wanted to take golf, he could. He could just counter cap. That's all
Oh,
completely open to him. He could. I would like to actually see him cap Echo here because he really there's no threat to Echo at the current time frame. And then when you look at Delta Ring, really like is Razzman just going to push into the center? That's going to take time and effort. And I really don't know if that's quite the right move. So I feel like
yeah.
Jackie's should really cap now. Oh, and actually, I think he hears me.
Oh, he can. Hearing you from the future. I do
Yes.
like how Jackie's actually putting a bit of pressure already down south. He's dropping a bunch of smoke here for his SASF to move up, and yeah, if he can move them up and get onto the supply line road, it's not even so much sniping tanks, but just shooting any helicopters which come out. I mean, that's what the SASF do really well.
Yeah, and he uses the Valkyrie piece there, which I don't really see very often, but maybe I'll rechange my mind on maybe bring it myself
Oh,
because
wow.
actually accurate fire there coming out of it. It's just a truck with some rockets, right? Little
Yeah.
four hands grad. This is pretty effective there. The SCF 90 and the K cars get up there, and he can actually cause a little havoc here.
Yeah, this could be like a pretty decent push. So we're all seeing Razzman is going to be responding in kind with more Chuchins and like a Pachotas. But the SASF can put up a bit of a fight, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and the K cars too, especially if the K cars can catch the BMP ones up close and personal before they can even, especially if he gets the jump on them, they can tear through that armor of the BMP one pretty quick.
Yep, but that was a Kyoka rocket
Oh.
strike here. But here comes the Mi-17, and you don't really need much AT when you have 122mm rockets.
No, just as I hyped at the K car right there, they get obliterated by the
Yep.
Mi-17s. Never mind. Please purge
Cast
that
is
from the
cursed.
cast. Yeah.
It's already been edited out.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
We just have dolphin noises replacing that part.
It'd be funny too. We see the Wilkin one actually catch those. Yeah, so the Czech infantry, Czech recon infantry spots those Rukat 76 up in golf ring. Wilkin one gets one hit on it, pushing them back there. Kind of surprised there's a lot of action going on there, but it looks like actually there's a push ring by Jaki going into golf.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
They're gonna die to the T-72s.
Yeah, the T-72s are quite scary. Even though they're just baseline T-72s, they got machine guns, they got a cannon, and that's all you need to keep infantry away.
Yeah, and they're actually pretty sturdy too. So for 40 points against the South Africans, maybe that's something that Razzman kind of thought about was like, hey, for 40 points, this actually has the ability to not only deter but withstand hits from them, and it's really cheap, and that's not something Jaki actually has available to him on the same side.
Yeah, it's kind of like the fun thing about South Africa is also the counterplay against them is quite interesting because it's not just about super heavy tank micro, it's more about using medium tanks and trying to... It's like trying to contain like a very angry toddler who has a lot of energy. You're just trying to calm them down a little bit, focus their attention, and then blow them up.
You need to get one of the gates, you gotta lock them in.
Yes.
Just lock them in there.
Child gates.
Right.
Yeah.
Razzman just needs to get his gate, lock Jaki in the room for a couple minutes, let him
Put them
calm
in
down.
timeout.
Timeout. I need to invest in one of those.
It'd probably be a good idea.
Yeah, it'd be a good idea. So, actually, Razzman decides the T-72s don't want to go there and fight the Parabet 90 inside the forest, though not without losing one of their own comrades there. He's like, bye-bye, you can get blown up, but we're getting out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, some good shots in there. Good damage. Chi D2 is actually up too. I wonder where Jackie's going with that. It's got the Yeah, it's got the Griffins. Yeah, that's actually a really good bomber, I think, for 120 points.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. Like, South Africans do have some good air power, and they haven't really been seen all that much of it this match, so probably makes sense. I mean, it is a never on the field, and that thing you never want to mess with, as we just see.
No, it has an absolute monster 9 HE powered missile, right?
Yeah.
It slams into your plane. Unless it's an A10, it's taking it down, as we see.
Yeah.
He's not going back home.
No, it'd be a long flight too.
You better get out and walk.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it's actually gotten like kind of really static in the middle, and I thought it was gonna blow up there, and then now it's kind of like we're in this weird face-off once again with each other, and I don't know their history. Maybe they know each other really well, so the metagames kind of play out. But it seems like they're both kind of like not willing to overly commit to something in the current time.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing Razzman actually doing a really good push up here in the north, just a few
Yeah,
infantry clearing through the forest, and as you're seeing, Jaki is evac in the area with his anti-air. Yeah, he has barely
evacuating the
anything
dance
in
floor.
yet.
Yeah, there actually isn't much in there. And as you called my attention to it, I really noticed that it felt like he had more for a longer period of time. But now Charlie is like actually really wide open, besides some K cars and some AA, and then the 5 parabats there just holding the forest down.
Yeah, this is like the perfect pick for Razzman to push. He's really feeling the pulse of like, hey, up north, probably not much yet, and he's playing it right, and it's gonna pay off for him really well, as we're about to see.
Yeah, because actually with the time too, I'd take that into account. With 14 minutes left in this game, Razzman does have a 108-point lead. If he could actually threaten either cause it to evacuate or kill the commandant there and Charlie, that'd probably seal the deal for him.
Yeah, I mean, that's such a huge point advantage at this point, and just looking at the rest of the map. I mean, he has Echo, which is nice, but he can't really do anything with it.
Yeah, and he's kind of stuck there because he can't really push in any further, and his flank attack kind of faltered. So I think the next move is probably to get into Delta, but Delta's kind of locked down.
Yeah,
It's gonna be hard.
yeah. Delta's always just the meat grinder part of this map. It's just such a pain to get in, especially once you fully lose it, because it's just like each tree line is a goddamn trench.
Ooh, the Ratel 81 actually is left in the open there. It's gonna get spotted. Yeah, Maltsuka missile taking it out.
Oh,
And
and
then, oh,
there's the tap. Razzman
yeah.
taking the victory, a pretty not too different, like 600 KD difference.
Yeah, the ending there kind of feels a little anticlimactic. I think a
Yeah,
little bit rang. It's interesting to see that. But I guess the writing was on the wall. If you're a Jackie, right, because your CV is so threatened right there. How are you stopping that?
yeah, it was a really interesting, like, I mean, every single match we've casted in the past, well, it's just been South Africa because of its tournament. But it's really interesting just to see how people approach it. Like, we always keep going on about it's about the bloody momentum. It's about
Hmm.
keeping up, and Jackie had it on really well early, and even in the mid game he did decent, but he lost a lot of his Roycat 105s,
Hmm.
and yeah, just let Razman really, be able to dig into Delta. And
Yeah, I
then
feel like he let Razzman kind of like not necessarily get back in the game because I don't think he was ever out of it. But the couple trades there, especially when he took out that heavy armor for him, there was I think a missed opportunity for Jackie to really exploit that in the time. Maybe get his own command vehicle out first before after that time period, and then force Razzman to react to him a little bit because it just felt like, and you can kind of see, I think the skill right there is that by Razzman taking the control point, he really dictated the pace of the game after that, even though he had, I think, traded a little more inefficiently up to that time period.
yeah, yeah, it was just really good job in Razman being able to contain that toddler, so to speak, and once again, you get the momentum back against South Africa. You throw up those T-72s, big iron curtain, and then you just push back.
Yeah, I think something I've noticed in some of these games that we've casted now, Rang, is that South Africa Moto feels like it's the way to go, but it feels like the really good players have a good understanding of how to contain it. Like you said, right? Like put the toddler away, take out your little gate. Hey, you're stuck here in this room, right? You can't
Yeah,
come out. It feels like they understand how to do that. As long as it doesn't get too out of control in the opening minutes of the game, it just feels like once it settles down, South African Moto just doesn't have the firepower to, keep it going or get back in it.
yeah, I feel like for a lot of these South Africa players too, maybe it's a little bit more heavy use in air power. I forgot the name of the ATGM plane, probably like a cheater or something. But you also have the Roy Valks and the betas,
Yeah.
which you really do need to use your air power quite effectively, especially when medium and heavy tanks are on the field, because they're your best way of blowing those buggers up.
Yeah, they're definitely the better option. I think a lot of players looks like they want to go into like the Roy Cats and try and kind of swarm them. Whereas I agree with you. I think I think the Buccaneer and then the Mirage 3, right? Those are the two ATGM planes for
Yeah,
South Africa.
I
Yeah,
probably.
I think that's probably made the better. But like you also said, the Roy Valk is an awesome piece, which I don't even think is in Jackie. It's not even in Jackie's deck. That the Roy Valk.
No, it's not. It's just a lot of betas and the
Yeah,
K-car helicopters. Yeah, I mean the other beta with the ATGMs is pretty good because
yeah.
it's essentially a Roy Valk. It has the Roy Valk ATGMs, which is like insane AP.
Yes.
But yeah, I just I think that's just the one thing a lot of South African players, from what I'm seeing in his replays, just need to hone in a bit more. Is just using that air power to your advantage. Because, yeah, it's super cool to juke on people with Roycat 105s, but by God,
Cool.
it's hard.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It's really hard. It's super funny and cool when you do it, but maybe seeing more players dip into, because it is. I think it's a very cost efficient air tab that you could utilize probably a little more to get yourself some more value instead of just trying to use your super fancy armored car.
Yeah, teleport behind them and shoot them with a 105 in the rear.
Trying to check into the hotel when you don't have a reservation. Come on now.
The T-72 will see you out now.
Yeah, he was the usher and he said no, not today.
But any final thoughts today, Graham?
No, not at all. I had a lot of fun. It was fun casting. Two of the best players in the game. It was really enjoyable to watch and see they do it. I'm gonna take some notes and hit the leaderboard so maybe some of the viewers will see me in the rank queue this week.
Oh, there we go. And once again, thank you very much for joining me, Graham. And for everyone else, thank you very much for watching. And as usual, please just take it easy.